Before streaming, before MTV, before the concept of a music video even existed, there was a small house on West Grand Boulevard in Detroit, Michigan. A house so ordinary from the outside that you'd walk past it without a second thought. But what came out of that house changed the sound of the entire world.
Take you back to 1967. Come on,
We're talking about Motown, and not just the label, not just the business story, but the specific songs, the records, the 2.5-minute miracles that rewired radio, crossed color lines that America had drawn in permanent ink, and made the whole world move together
man ain't no good.
when it wasn't yet ready to stand together. This is Black Legacy Files, and today, we're counting down 10 Motown songs that didn't just top charts. They changed music forever. Each one carries a story most people have never fully heard. And as this countdown moves toward number 1, the stories only get bigger. If you're new to Black Legacy Files, this channel exists to make sure these stories are never forgotten. Subscribe now, drop a like, and tell us in the comments, what's your favorite Motown record of all time? Your answer might surprise even you before this documentary is over. Stay with us all the way through. The number 1 entry alone is worth the whole ride. Number 10, Dancing in the Street, Martha and the Vandellas, 1964. Most people hear Dancing in the Street and think of a party, a celebration, summer, and that's exactly what Motown needed you to think. Released in the summer of 1964, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas delivered one of the most urgent, electric records Motown had ever pressed. That opening drum crack, the horn stab, Martha's voice coming in like she was already moving before the microphone was even warm. It hit radio and didn't let go. But here's what made this record more than a dance song. 1964 was a year of extraordinary tension in America. Civil rights marches, bombings, fire hoses, and yet here was a song calling people out into the streets, by name, city by city, Chicago, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Baltimore. Some listeners heard a summer anthem, others heard something more like a call. Martha Reeves has always maintained it was written as a pure dance record, and songwriter William Mickey Stevenson confirmed it was exactly that. But music doesn't always stay where it started. Dancing in the Street took on a life that nobody fully controlled, and that's the mark of something genuinely powerful. The song reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 4 on the R&B chart. It became one of the most recognizable recordings in pop history, later covered by artists across generations. But more importantly, it proved that Motown music could carry weight, emotional, cultural, historical, even when it was built to make you dance. Number 9, My Girl, The Temptations, 1964. There are love songs, and then there's My Girl. When the Temptations recorded it in late 1964, the group was still finding its footing. They had records, they had talent, but they hadn't yet had the defining moment that would set them apart from every other group on the Motown roster. Smokey Robinson wrote it. He wrote it specifically for David Ruffin's voice, a voice that had a rough, gospel-soaked quality that could make even the simplest lyric feel like a personal confession. That opening guitar line, played by Robert White, became one of the most recognized instrumental phrases in American music. 4 notes, unhurried, warm, and then that bass drop and Ruffin's entrance. The song reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in January 1965, the Temptations' first chart topper. But what it really did was establish something permanent. It gave the group an identity, a sound, a standard by which every future Temptations record would be Decades later, that guitar introduction still stops people mid-conversation, still causes strangers to look up from whatever they're doing and just listen. That kind of staying power isn't manufactured. It's earned, one honest lyric at a time. Number 8. Reach Out, I'll Be There. Four Tops, 1966. By 1966, Motown had a formula that worked. Holland Dozier Holland, the songwriting and production trio of Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, and Eddie Holland, had become the architectural firm behind some of the label's biggest records. But with the Four Tops, they decided to build something different. Reach Out, I'll Be There wasn't a love song in the traditional Motown sense. It was a rescue, an emergency. Levi Stubbs didn't sing it so much as he commanded it, his voice carrying a dramatic intensity that felt closer to gospel preaching than pop radio. That opening, with its oboe-like sound and marching drums, announced that something serious was about to happen. The record reached number 1 in both the United States and the United Kingdom in 1966. But what it demonstrated was that Motown could expand its emotional range without losing its audience. This was orchestral soul, ambitious, cinematic, almost operatic. HDH had pushed the production further than anything the label had done before. For Levi Stubbs, the song became his defining vocal performance. His voice, raw and relentless, made every listener feel like they were the person the song was reaching for. That connection between the singer and the audience is exactly what Motown's best records understood better than anyone else. Number 7. What's Going On? Marvin Gaye, 1971. This is where the countdown shifts, because everything up to this point reflects the Motown sound at its commercial peak. But number 7 is the moment when Motown almost stopped this song from ever being released, and nearly lost its most important artist as a result. Berry Gordy didn't want to put out What's Going On. He reportedly called it the worst record he'd ever heard. Too slow, too jazzy, too uncommercial, too political. This was 1970, and Motown's formula was built on love songs and danceable production. A song about Vietnam veterans, drug addiction, police brutality, and environmental destruction didn't fit the catalog. Marvin Gaye refused to record anything else until it was released. The standoff was real, the tension was serious, and eventually Gordy relented. The song came out in January 1971. Within weeks, it became Marvin's fastest-selling single in Motown's history. The album that followed, carrying the same title, is now widely regarded as one of the greatest albums ever recorded in any genre. What Marvin understood, and what the song proved, was that black audiences were ready for music that spoke to what they were living through. Not in spite of the beauty of the production, but because of it. The lush arrangements, the layered vocals, the conversational warmth of the record made the difficult subject matter bearable. It made people feel less alone. If you've been watching since the beginning, you already know this channel exists to tell stories exactly like this one, the ones behind the music. If you haven't subscribed to Black Legacy Files yet, now is the time. Hit that like button, leave a comment with the Motown record closest to your heart, and keep watching, because from number 6 onward, the stakes get even higher and the stories run even deeper. Number 6. Stop, In the Name of Love, The Supremes, 1965. There is a moment in music history when a group stops being popular and becomes something larger, part of the cultural furniture. For the Supremes, that moment arrived somewhere between 1964 and 1966, and Stop, In the Name of Love was one of the records that built it.
My
Released in February 1965, it became their fourth consecutive #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, 4 in a row. In a period when the British invasion had convinced most of the American music industry that the game had permanently changed, the Supremes kept climbing past everyone. The song itself was built on a familiar Holland framework, a strong hook, an accessible melody, a lyric that anyone who had ever been in love could immediately recognize. But Diana Ross delivered it with a quality that went beyond technical skill. There was a controlled vulnerability in her performance. The famous choreography, the outstretched hand, the gesture that became an image, gave the record a visual identity before music videos existed. What the Supremes accomplished during this run was something Motown's founder had always believed possible, proving that black artists could reach every audience, every radio format, every corner of American life. Stop, in the Name of Love, wasn't just a hit, it was evidence. Number 5, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Marvin Gaye and Tammi Terrell, 1967. Some Motown records feel good, some feel important, and some feel like they were recorded by people who genuinely needed to sing together. Marvin Gaye and Tammi Terrell's partnership is one of the most emotionally resonant in popular music history. And Ain't No Mountain High Enough, written by Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson, became the record that defined it. The song is a promise, unconditional, total, without reservation. And the way Marvin and Tammi performed it together made that promise feel real. Their voices complemented each other in a way that didn't sound like two singers taking turns. It sounded like a conversation between two people who genuinely understood each other. If you ever need a helping hand, the record reached number 19 on the Hot 100, modest by chart standards, but its cultural impact was anything but modest. When Diana Ross later recorded a solo version in 1970, it became her first solo #1. The song transcended its original recording, which is something only truly exceptional compositions manage to do. What makes this entry devastating is what followed. Tammi Terrell collapsed on stage during a performance with Marvin in 1967. She had a brain tumor. She passed away in 1970 at just 24 years old. Marvin's grief was profound and lasting. He retreated, struggled, and eventually channeled everything he was feeling into What's Going On. The joy in Ain't No Mountain High Enough is real. The tragedy that followed is also real. And together, they give the record a depth that no chart position could ever fully measure. Number 4, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, Marvin Gaye, 1968. Here is something most people don't know about this record. I Heard It Through the Grapevine was not originally recorded by Marvin Gaye. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles recorded it. Gladys Knight and the Pips recorded it, and their version was actually released first, reaching number 2 in 1967. Marvin recorded his version in 1967 as well, but Berry Gordy shelved it. He didn't think it was strong enough. It stayed on a shelf for nearly a year. Then, almost as an afterthought, it was included on Marvin's 1968 album. Response to that album version was so strong that Motown finally released it as a single in October 1968. It went to number 1. It stayed there for 7 weeks. It became the biggest selling Motown single up to that point in the label's history. What Marvin brought to the song was a combination of cool and dread that the earlier versions hadn't quite located. That hypnotic, almost paranoid groove. His voice riding over it, not shouting, not pleading, just delivering the truth of a man who had discovered something he couldn't unhear. The production, handled by Norman Whitfield, was darker and more psychedelic than standard Motown fare. The song's second life came years later, when it was featured in a Levi's commercial, introducing it to a new generation. But Marvin's original recording has never needed introduction. It walks into a room and owns it. Number 3. Papa Was a Rollin' Stone, The Temptations, 1972.
Hey mama, I heard Papa call himself a jackal.
By 1972, The Temptations had already reinvented themselves once. When David Ruffin departed, when the group shifted towards psychedelic soul under Norman Whitfield's production direction, some longtime fans were uncertain. Then came Papa Was a Rollin' Stone. The full album version runs nearly 12 minutes. The single edit was still nearly 7. By commercial radio standards of the era, this was not a single, it was a statement. Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong built it like a film score. The arrangement was dense, orchestral, and cinematic, with a bass line that many producers and musicians have cited as one of the greatest ever recorded. The song won 3 Grammy Awards, including Best R&B Song. It reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But beyond the production achievement, the song told a story that felt genuinely uncomfortable. A father who abandoned his family, whose legacy was rumor and absence. Children trying to understand a man they never really knew. It was the kind of subject matter that pop radio rarely touched in 1972, delivered with a sophistication that made it impossible to dismiss. For The Temptations, it proved that the group could exist beyond any single lineup, any single style, any single era. They had evolved, and that evolution, as painful and disorienting as it had sometimes been, produced one of the most musically serious recordings in Motown's catalog. Number 2. Superstition, Stevie Wonder, 1972. By the time Stevie Wonder was 21 years old, he had already spent more than half his life as a professional recording artist. He had been a child prodigy at Motown, a teenage hitmaker, and then, right on the edge of adulthood, he renegotiated his entire contract and took full creative control. What came next was one of the most extraordinary creative runs in the history of popular music, and Superstition was the record that announced it to the world. That clavinet riff, Stevie played it himself. He played nearly every instrument on the recording. The groove was so immediate, so physical, so deeply rooted in funk while remaining entirely its own thing, that when it hit radio in late 1972, it felt like nothing that had come before it, even from Motown. The song reached number 1 on both the pop and R&B charts. Jeff Beck, the rock guitarist, had heard an early version and wanted to record it. Stevie released his own version first. The song has since been covered, sampled, and referenced across nearly every genre imaginable. But what matters most about Superstition is what it represented for Stevie Wonder personally. This was a man who had fought for the right to create on his own terms. A blind black artist who had grown up inside a system that didn't always fully trust its artists to know what they were doing. Superstition was his proof of concept, his declaration.
Watch up and said, hey.
Before we get to number 1, and it is exactly who you think it is, but the reason it sits at number 1 may not be what you expect. Subscribe to Black Legacy Files if you haven't already. Leave a comment with where you think number 1 belongs and why. Your perspective matters to this community. And stay right here, because what comes next is the record that made everything else possible. Number 1. I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, Aretha Franklin.
How could you do it so bad?
Aretha Franklin, recorded for Atlantic, not Motown. So how does her record close a Motown countdown? Because without Motown, it might never have happened, at least not the way it did. Here's the truth. The number one song on this countdown is not a single Motown record. It is the Motown idea itself, crystallized most completely in one specific moment. The emergence of I Want You Back by the Jackson 5 in 1969. That record, that bright, joyful, almost painfully perfect piece of pop soul, was the last great proof that Berry Gordy's original vision still worked. A family from Gary, Indiana, a 12-year-old lead singer whose voice contained more authority than most adults could claim. A production team that understood exactly how to frame raw, extraordinary talent. I Want You Back reached number one on the Billboard Hot 100. It launched one of the most successful careers in entertainment history. And it did something else. It reminded the entire music industry that Motown's fundamental instinct, find the most extraordinary talent, surround it with the best music, and trust the audience, was not dated. It was permanent. That is the real legacy of these 10 songs. Not the chart positions, not the awards, not even the cultural crossover. The legacy is the proof that black artistry, black creativity, and black storytelling can move the entire world when given the resources, the platform, and the freedom to be exactly what it is. These songs are not museum pieces. They are still working, still teaching, still moving people in kitchens, in cars, in moments of joy and grief and memory. Black Legacy Files exists to make sure those stories, and the extraordinary people behind them, are never reduced to footnotes. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.